And we're rolling. Okay.
Alrighty. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for meeting with me.
Yeah, thank you.
So, here representing Joe Denver, and we're set for trial tomorrow.
Yes, we are.
We're gonna negotiate a plea deal maybe here.
Yeah, that'd be nice if we could do that. Save us both from trial tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
I would just like to get some information
okay.
from you if at all possible. Have you decided what you officially charged him with at this time?
Yes, we have come together and have decided these are the things that we ultimately want to charge him with. Would be murder in the first degree, grand larceny, burglary with a deadly weapon, burglary in the first degree, and then also unlawful possession of a controlled substance. So that's kind of where we were thinking. As of right now, I don't know your thoughts on that.
Can you see those last two real quick?
Yeah, so burglary in the first degree,
Mhm.
and then unlawful possession of a controlled substance.
So you're not going to charge him with use of a firearm during the mission of a felony
Well,
anymore?
that's what we'd want to charge him with right now is kind of our lineup thing,
Okay.
but wanted to talk to you about some of the other things. I mean, I kind of picked those from what I thought would be best for him in the situation.
Okay.
But again, kind of open to, some of my other thoughts were definitely burglary with a deadly weapon. That was kind of a big one. But since there are so many charges, I decided to take that one off right now.
Okay.
But definitely thought that was something that we could talk about since
Yeah.
we decided to meet and try to put together a plea for him.
Okay. And then I have another question.
Mhm.
Is there any exculpatory evidence that you now know of at this time that you are constitutionally obligated to disclose to me at this time to avoid a Brady violation?
No, not at this time. Not anything that I don't think you're aware of
Okay.
right now. So,
And then any other constitutional violations, if you have any other further information, could you please on your office's role and the delay in trial? Could you disclose that information to me at all?
yeah, I don't have anything there to disclose to you. I think, part of the whole trial thing that you push back is just part of it. And didn't see and don't have any information, at least from my records, as to wrongdoing by any police officers,
Okay.
that sort of thing. So,
All right.
do you have any of that information that you need to share or anything?
Well, I don't necessarily need to disclose to you, but I do not actually have any information
Okay.
at this time, or any further information on why there was a delay or not. So,
Okay. All right.
So, but that basically leads me to where we're at right now is that we just feel like, well, I guess we need to define the timeline here for us.
Okay.
Because it says May of the year before last. It's my understanding that will be May of 2017, and so he was indicted June of 2017, which was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a trial yet, and it says that, and generally for speedy trials, anything over 6 months is considered at risk of being a violation of the constitutional right to a speedy trial.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at right now, and where we want you to drop the charges because of the fact that we feel there's a strong violation of the speedy trial constitutional rights right now.
Okay. I could say that that's not necessarily going to be happening, just dropping the charges for that. I mean, we're under quite a bit of pressure. This was someone who was notorious in the community, someone really liked. A lot of people want to see justice for this guy. I mean, there's been a lot of commotion around it, a lot of things in the news, that sort of thing. So As far as the issue with the speedy trial, I mean, I guess we haven't seen it as really something that just landed on our shoulders. I think it was just part of the whole thing and getting a case like this to trial. I mean, this is a murder. There's quite a bit there. So it's not something that's just going to go to trial overnight. There's a lot of moving pieces. So, I mean, we felt like that delay was kind of both on back ends rather than just necessarily on the prosecution, I guess is our opinion there.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but,
in our opinion, like we're not denying that we may have played a role, but even when that clock stops running, we feel like we're in a pretty good, legitimate position to argue that there was a violation of my client's constitutional rights.
okay.
And if we don't want to hash that out today, we can wait for appeal
Okay.
after trial. So
Yeah, I mean, if it's something that you want to talk about, we're more than welcome to, but that's not, I mean, I came here today with the impression that we wanted to talk about a plea deal for this, not trying to get this dismissed on some constitutional ground that I don't necessarily think has been brought up early enough to kind of warrant that kind of conversation. I didn't really think that that's what we'd be coming in today and talking about, so.
yeah, well, so
I guess, what are your client's interests here? Is he just completely interested in getting it dismissed? Is he interested in just getting on with this and moving forward? I mean, I know it has been a little bit for him, so
Right.
that is hard, but
yeah, obviously it would be the least amount of time for incarceration. So
Okay.
it's just the smaller the sentence or smaller the term, the better, more satisfied he'd be as far as that goes. I mean, we do have some concerns on the merits of the case as far disregarding the speedy trial issue,
okay.
because I mean, so the murder in the first degree is willful and premeditated, which I mean, the facts just don't point to it being premeditated at that point, and so we'd have, I mean, we just see that as a concern going forward and more advantageous to us going into trial
Okay.
with that mindset. And then the grand larceny, we just don't have any facts to really point to whether or not there was an actual money amount to whether or not it validates. Do you have any information on the money amount or the possessions that were stolen?
Not
validate.
anything substantial that's been submitted to me, no, but
Okay.
just from common knowledge, was able to put it over 500.
Right. And then the burglary with the deadly weapon, we just don't see the facts supporting that, considering that he got the weapon after he committed the burglary.
We
And
see
so-
that as part of the burglary.
Right.
It's part of that.
Well,
the
to break and
ongoing-
enter with a weapon. So he wasn't breaking and entering with a
But
weapon.
he had just acquired it during it, is
Right,
the way that
so-
we see it. So,
Yeah. I mean, so we see that as not the most legitimate charge as well. And then unlawful possession of controlled substance. I mean, I'll be honest with you, the facts definitely point that way.
Mhm.
And so we basically, that's where we're at, where we would start with our assessment of the facts to we could begin with just burglary and larceny at this point, because broken and entered with to get the drugs and grab the rifle, and then after that, it was just a series of unfortunate events where Joe becomes a victim and gets shot after he was running away,
Mhm.
and he didn't, and then when he takes the weapon, knocks him off, and then is wounded, fearing for his life, and that's when he.
fearing for his life with 3 gunshots seems a little.
Well, he was. I mean,
much.
in the moment, heat of the moment, you just
Heat
don't
of
know
the
how people are
moment
going
on
to
a-
react. But we
uh-huh.
just feel like he was definitely justified in self-defense there, and so
Okay.
that's why so the breaking and entering and the drugs and the rifle, we feel is the real crime here.
Okay.
And so that's where we'd want to start on as far as the merits of the case.
So the breaking and entering, and what was the other part?
Larceny. So, and we, seeing as there's no real definite amount to decide whether or not it's grand or petite, we'd argue for petite.
So before we even start getting there, I do have a couple questions too that I'd like to talk to you about. Has he been seeking treatment? I mean, obviously he has a substance abuse problem.
Right.
Has that been any effort for your client, your office, to try to help get some treatment for him?
Not at this time,
Okay.
but we definitely would be open to making arrangements as part of the plea deal to make it part of that. If
Okay.
that's an interest that your office has.
Just something that obviously goes into,
Mm-hmm.
deciding sort of penalties we want to put on this person for their actions. And I guess any information regarding his family, whether he's here, the support system that he has, relationships that he's had, how those are going.
Yeah,
Just trying
as far as
to
we-
get
as
an
far-
idea of like how he's doing
We're-
more so.
yeah. I mean, he's more just concerned about this whole process. He'd rather get it past him. He feels that he just wasn't himself that night, under the influence, and basically doesn't want to doesn't feel like it'd be fair to go after him as hard as you're going after him because of his dependency and his issues and all this other stuff. And I guess it's just a real tragic event
Mm-hmm.
how it all shook out. But right now he just feels the overhanging burden of the unknown right now with all of this happening.
Yeah. I guess my office's big concern is the fact that this substance abuse was a reoccurring thing, that it seemed like he could get over it for a little bit and then it was re-triggered, and to a point where it completely escalated to this point, which is scary, and someone lost their life because of this. So that's not something that we can take easily and just give a slap on the hand and put them through the door. So I understand that you guys don't think that there's merit to each one of our claims. I kind of anticipated that that's what you guys would think. Our office thinks differently. Definitely we're heavy on some sort of murder charge here, and there's a lot of pressure on us
Right.
for a murder charge. And so if you want, we can talk about the breaking and entering and larceny, but I would also like for us to talk about murder charges.
Right. And I think it sounds like maybe there might be some room for agreement here, because
Mhm.
he's just more. It's more about he's looking for the shortest possible prison term,
Mm-hmm.
as far as so the charges. If we can make it shake out to where a good middle ground, I
Okay.
guess. Yeah.
So you guys you're on the least possible. So ideal for you would be 0. I mean, obviously, yeah.
obviously.
And for us, we're more with all of these charges and what those charges carry with them. We're up to that life sentence, right? So
Okay.
we're looking at beyond that 50 years easily,
Right.
which what I had given to you was kind of those 5 that we wanted. The sentences also. They would carry with them, quite a few years, totaling up pretty much to 101 years is what it would look like. And so obviously I know that that's not what your client wants, and so hopefully we can make an arrangement to be a little bit more beneficial, right?
Right.
So, okay, let's talk about the breaking and entering larceny. I guess, what are the charges, and I don't know if you want to talk about the terms that you're thinking would go with that, the amount of years per.
With burglary and larceny.
Yeah.
Well, we would see my list here. we would be we would be I guess we could start off with we'd want petite larceny at 1 year, and then the burglary. We would argue that it would be burglary. Um, we'd want burglary second degree
Okay.
at 1 year.
So we were at, I mean, I had put down here burglary first degree, but that was also contingent on everything here being charged at the amount of years per.
Right.
So I guess my question is could we agree on a burglary in the first degree?
Instead of burglary with a weapon.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll take off burglary with a deadly weapon. I know you want burglary in second degree, but if we could agree on that burglary in the first degree, that would.
No, I don't really want to like confirm like right off the bat.
Yeah.
I reserve the right to.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
just play around
Okay.
with some
Okay.
things, but
Okay.
yeah, if we can kind of like let's start talking in terms of if we
what
could
we're
put together a
comfortable,
package sort of thing.
and then see
what
if
do
we
we
can move
include
from
in
there.
there?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
All right.
nothing,
Yeah.
we
so-
won't agree until we agree, but let's just start talking. I feel like there's a middle. I just see a middle ground
Yeah.
on that one, and to get us
Okay.
started, let's go with the middle ground.
I would say if we agree to burglary first degree, and then the minimum is 5, so that's what we'd want would be minimum of 5.
Okay, so let me see. We had one at 15 there. Since we're again just talking about trying to put together a package, I'll propose that let's do 10 and see where we
Okay.
go with that.
All right.
So we can work
Work
on
from
that.
there.
Okay, so and then between the petite and grand, I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't have any evidence on me right now. I mean, for trial, definitely seems to be some more information lingering, but as far as what I have at my fingertips now, I have a hard time providing you with a list of what's over that 500.
Right.
So the only way though I could go down with a petite larceny would be if we're talking about getting a sense of murder, and murder, not manslaughter, is kind of.
Right. Well, we're yeah, we don't. Yeah, we wouldn't see that as exactly a fair.
Yeah,
trade.
and
But
I get that, and I don't even want to see it as a trade. I
Yeah.
just like petite larceny. That is really a slap on the hand. And,
are you able to negotiate a felony murder?
no, I am not.
Not at all.
Mm-mm.
Even if it was for some sort of term
No.
comparable. Okay.
No, my boss is pretty heavy on that murder in the
All right.
first degree to
All right.
stick. So
Well, we just don't feel like the mens rea is there for the first degree. If we were to be talking about anything in the murder variety, it'd be a second degree or voluntary manslaughter.
yeah, it's not exactly how we see it. We felt like there was quite the vengeance there, and kind of knew what he was getting himself into going in.
I don't think he had a premeditated that he's gonna kill.
I think he had a lot of
that
anger
man,
there. I
that
think
night.
that there could have been definitely some premeditation. He
Oh.
didn't want him with his daughter. That's rough. That's not what someone wants to hear. So
All right. Well, that's not in line with where we're at the moment. So,
okay.
but so all right. You want first degree, and we want second or voluntary. Okay. How
So,
how how set are you guys for that life sentence? How hard are you guys pushing for that?
I mean, pretty hard. There's quite a bit of pressure. It's going to have to be somewhat close. If I mean, I know it's hard because I know you guys don't want any time, and being pushed with what was given to me as what we wanted to charge, being at 101 years.
Right.
So,
'Cause we're at a is probation or suspension on the table?
I mean, not necessarily, but something that would be on the table is maybe doing a concurrent sentence at
Mhm.
some point. So, might be willing to give something like that. If you guys would be interested in that, I
Right.
mean,
See, the way we basically we can't us saying guilty to first degree and then taking a life sentence is just not in the cards. They'd rather roll the dice at that point
yeah,
at trial,
definitely.
and so we're gonna probably we push for one or the other, and so my client's interests are that he doesn't want to spend that much time in jail. So if we were to plead to a first degree murder, we'd want and basically we'd want just the minimum of 5 years to save you from trial, to save you from any further appeals on any constitutional violations.
Yeah, and so right, we were at 50 there.
But since and that's a big concession on us, and so I would argue that we would want all the other charges dropped for that first degree murder.
So only the first degree murder.
Right.
Yeah, that's I can say that's not going to happen.
Okay.
But okay, so we have burglary in the first degree for 10 years. You guys are at 5, we're at 50. And again, I'm just writing this down to see if we can't see what looks good here. Let me choose there and then so what if we were able to do, it says decreased it quite a bit. I guess this is more, I mean, you might be interested in something like this if we can just start getting some ideas flowing of how we want to package this. A murder in the first degree, 25-year sentence with that. Burglary with a deadly weapon, and 15 years from that, but that can run concurrent with the murder.
I thought okay. You don't want to drop that down. This is a new offer. We're
Yes.
disregarding the burglary in first degree.
Well, yes, I also had tied in that with the burglary in the first degree for 10. No larceny.
Wouldn't that be a double jeopardy issue with the two burglaries there?
Yeah, so it would be. Sorry, I didn't think about having burglary there. So definitely, okay, I would drop the list here. Drop the burglary with the first degree and add grand larceny and the substance. Give you 5 on the substance, 5 on the grand larceny. Those would not run concurrent.
So, is there a burglary charge?
Yeah, burglary with a deadly weapon. Yeah.
And that was
So
how many
if
years?
you want, you can kind of look at this. So 25 for the murder in the first degree.
15.
15 and 5, 5.
And you would offer, and you would run the others concurrent?
It'd run the murder in the first degree and burglary with a deadly weapon concurrent, and then grand larceny and substance consecutive to the murder in the first degree. So you'd be looking at 35 years total.
Okay. Yeah, that's not
Not close
not
enough.
yeah, not
Yeah.
close enough. So that won't work for us.
I guess I'm curious then on kind of an offer from you guys, because I mean, for
Yeah.
me, this is a 35 sentence and I get 50's life, but we were way higher towards the 101. So
Right.
that's quite a dip down, and there's quite a bit of pressure on that murder in the first degree.
Right.
Um,
In all honesty, I mean, if we were to capitulate at all to the murder of first degree, it would have to be there just couldn't be any other charges if we're going to continue to talk about murder in the first degree.
okay. So I guess if you were to make me an offer including murder in the second degree of what your client would be willing to accept as a plea, what would that look like?
Well, it would be a second. So if we did murder in the second degree, we could do. Of course, we'd have to start at 5 years. Murder for second degree, 5 years plus. We want the petite larceny. Well, we'll give you the grand larceny if we could get it for just 1 year, and then burglary in the first degree for 5.
And how many years on the second?
That'd only be 5. So it'd be burglary, grand larceny 1. 1 year burglary, first degree would be 5.
No
That'd be
substance on there.
We'll give it, yeah. We could do substance 1 year,
1 year,
so take us to 12 years.
12 years. Boy. Dipping away from murder in the first degree, I'm pretty locked into that 20 years on that.
Well, so we're at 12 years.
We're at 12 right now. I guess I could go.
Well, we could, if you're interested, well, it kind of goes. if we were able to do it to a voluntary manslaughter, and then make it the sentence, the term a little more in your favor.
I mean, the term with that at maximum can only carry 10 years, so that's so far off of.
Right. Well, we were only
What?
willing to give up 5
Yeah.
years on the second degree, so I guess
I mean, I can
I
get
guess
us
it
down
doesn't really
to-
change it that much, but
Down to 30 years. Second, 20 years. Grand 4. Burglary in the first degree 5. Substance 1.
right.
So.
Well, basically, where we want to be is we don't really want to go over 10 years with consecutive terms. So a total of 10 years.
Okay.
So is that even in your scheme of maneuvers over there?
That's pretty far from it. That's very far. I don't know if it'd be worth it to just go to trial at that point.
Right. Right.
So.
And do you have
10 years, huh?
right? I mean,
And that was even with consecutive?
that was with consecutive. That's where we really want to stick to.
And I mean, we're at that 50, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Trying to think. And so with that 12, I guess, that you kind of had put on the table, were you thinking some of those would be concurrent?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like the lowest I could even go there is still not gonna get there. I mean, that's at the max or at the minimum what I'm even looking to do.
Right.
It's not.
Well, if we're willing to trade some time served for dropping of charges and just focus on basically a single charge.
Yeah, I want more than one charge out of this. One charge won't happen.
So
At that
what
point,
about
we'll
2 charges?
go to trial. Yeah.
Would 2 charges be enough? Give us a kind of a middle ground.
Depends on what those charges are, I guess. I mean, those charges then have to come with a pretty higher
Well, we would.
year points. I don't even think I would struggle to get it down past
Or we could do.
3. But
Well, what about if we did voluntary manslaughter, burglary in the first degree, and unlawful. Well, what if we did voluntary manslaughter, burglary in the first degree, and then unlawful possession.
So voluntary manslaughter, burglary in the first, and then unlawful possession of controlled substance.
Yeah.
What would be the years?
Well, what's we could maybe go. We could do 15 years for a total of those charges.
15 years total. What do you think about second degree murder, burglary, the first degree grand larceny for a total of 24?
You said second,
Yeah.
then grand larceny,
And burglary in the first.
total of 24. Yeah, that's so that'd be. Yeah, I was like, that won't really work. I'm really kind of maxed out on my last offer. If I'm mixing some counts with some time given up.
So, I guess, and this would be only 10 years actually served, so some of these are going to be concurrent. So, we're looking at like a 5-year overlap.
On mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we did, what would you be willing to run concurrent?
Well, I mean, I'd be willing to if it was the right offer. But I feel like we're pretty.
Yeah, I went voluntary burglary, unlawful for 15 years.
And yeah, where I was headed was if we got it down to 3, second burglary grand, looking at 24 years.
Yeah, that's too big of a hit for me still. I don't know if there's any more middle ground we can move towards.
I don't know.
'Cause
You know what else we could do here?
basically, I couldn't really do. Let's see. If I did murder in the second degree, I would.
You'd really
I
be
would-
dropping the numbers of
Yeah,
years.
I mean, I could if I was to throw some other counts in there, it'd be just like it would have to be like petite larceny and burglary in second degree.
Yeah.
And I could maybe do 20 years with at least 5 running concurrent to make it 15 times served.
So 15, 7, 5 concurrent, a total of 20 years. And what were the charges again? Sorry.
If we did murder in the second degree with petite larceny and burglary in second degree.
gonna be. What if it was murder in the second degree? Using a firearm while committing a felony, and the substance with a 20-year. They can run concurrent, so right, because your last one 5.